Good morning, everyone. It's Halma here from Ludwig's Roses, and this morning I'm going to share with you the philosophy behind pruning a standard rose correctly. I'm just going to step here to the back so that you can see this standard rose has actually become very leggy. Look how tall it is. It flowered here on the tips, and it's actually created rose hips, the rose fruit. It's become lazy. It didn't do much. Now, to prevent that from happening, we don't want a standard rose to be untidy and out of bounds. We need to really prune the rose right back. And to do that, we're going to have to shorten all these stems by a lot. So here we go. I'm just going to prune this rose now, basically remove most of the stems at one level, and then we'll decide which ones remain and which ones we're going to cut off. But just remember, what I'm saying is we need to go right down, because a standard rose, we want to be neat. And if we leave these tall, we're already starting from a tall base. And then the plant, as the season goes, roses always grow in tines. These tines become tall, and then we end up with this untidy standard that is flowering right on top. So we look at leaving the stems at about 15 centimeters, so between 12 and 15, and we just cut above an eye so that we start from a very low base, and then the crisscrossing ones we remove. Remember, you must also fix your ties once you've finished pruning to make sure that the rose is kept in a sturdy position and doesn't break off in the stalk. So now you can see standard roses are budded from two sides. We need to not cut off one completely because the cluster of stems come from this eye and this cluster from the other eye. So basically, once you're done, you can just shorten these to 15 centimeters. This one we're going to take out. It's crisscrossing, and Bob's your uncle, very low. And as I said, that will make a nice base so that we have a more uniform shape standard rose that doesn't get too tall and will look much nicer in your garden. Here you can see a close-up of what the standard rose looks like once it's been pruned. You can see nice and short. We've left a little bit more stems than what we do on a bush rose, so that we have a nice shape and everything grows into a nice lollipop standard. So here in this rose bed, you can see we actually have nicely loosened the soil, added compost, and really made sure the roots of the standard rose will be happy. It has been pruned probably about 3.5 weeks ago, and I'm just not satisfied the way it's been pruned. It's far too long for standard. Remember, as we talked earlier, a standard needs to be contained, it needs to be neat, and this is far too long. This is probably about 45 centimeters. I want to bring them right down to 15 centimeters, and I'm going to show you, even though they've been pruned prior, we can easily just clean them up like this and shorten all these stems to make sure that the base that the rose is growing from will be much lower. And remember, here I'm just cutting above the eye. You can see that little spear over there. I'm just cutting 1 centimeter above it. Here you can see these are sprouting, and over here I'm going to cut there. Now understand that it's important to see that basically when we bud, when we propagate them, we put one eye on this side and another eye on that side. So you can see this configuration. Basically these stems are coming from that eye and the other stems are coming from the other eye, and together this forms the bud union. So this thickening over here is the bud union, and there are a lot of dormant eyes that will also sprout here and give a nice shape. But because the rose is now nice and short, we're going to have a much neater bush now come spring, and it won't become so out of bounds. So if you're scared of cutting your standard rose to 15 centimeters, I can guarantee you
Rather do it and you'll have a much neater bush, so don't be scared at all. Take your secateurs and cut back and you'll see the rose will thank you. It'll be a nice neat bush, a lollipop, a manicured look, something that roses are actually planted for. We don't want this very tall out of bounds rose, so cut it right back and you will see the benefit.